They called the T-90M Prorv, Russia's breakthrough tank. Moscow claimed it was unstoppable, stronger than NATO armor, smarter than Western fire control, deadlier than anything Ukraine could field. But on the battlefields of Donetsk, that myth burned. In one clash, Leopards hunted Russian columns, Abrams shattered strongholds, and FPV drones swarmed like hornets, finishing what the tanks had started. It wasn't just a clash of steel, it was the death of an illusion, that Russia's machines could dominate modern battlefields. You're watching Navy Warfare. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more frontline reports and deep dives into modern military power. The morning sky over eastern Ukraine glows pale orange. Dust clouds rise in the distance, a Russian armored column pushing forward. At its head, the T-90M, Russia's pride. Behind it, T-72s and armored personnel carriers grind their way toward a Ukrainian-held settlement. Their goal, overwhelm, occupy, and hold. But the Russians are not alone on this battlefield. In a tree line overlooking the road, two Leopard 2A6 tanks lie hidden. German-built, battle-tested, and now crewed by Ukrainians. Their thermal sights glow with targets. Every meter the Russian column advances, the noose tightens. The order comes, engage. A thunderous crack splits the air. The first Leopard fires. Its 120mm round streaks across the field, slamming into the lead T-90M. For a second, nothing. Then fire erupts from the turret. The flagship of Russia's army grinds to a halt, flames pouring from its hatches. The Russian column falters. Confusion ripples down the line. That hesitation is fatal. Second shot, another tank ignites. Third shot, an APC bursts apart. Russian infantry scatter, diving into ditches and buildings for cover. But there is no safety. The Leopards work like predators, each round deliberate, precise. Tanks that cost millions of dollars fall in seconds. Russian vehicles become torches across the field. The assault, meant to crush Ukrainian lines, collapses before it even begins. And then, the battlefield changes again. A faint buzzing fills the air. At first, it sounds almost harmless, like a swarm of bees. But to the Russians, it is death. FPV drones. Launched miles away, guided by operators with headsets, the drones skim the ground at incredible speed. On their cameras, the Russian convoy looms larger with every second. One drone arcs upward, then dives straight into the engine deck of a T-90M. Explosion. The tank shudders, smoke billows. Another drone follows, slipping into the turret ring. Another detonation. The crew has no chance. Within minutes, 3 T-90Ms worth over $10 million lie crippled and burning. The drones that destroyed them cost less than $2,000 combined. Russian commanders scream orders, but panic spreads. Some tanks try to reverse. Others swerve off-road in desperation. But the Leopards reposition, cutting off the escape. More vehicles fall. Infantry abandon their machines and flee. By the time the smoke clears, the road is a graveyard of steel. Burned-out hulls, shattered turrets, black smoke rising against the morning sky. For Ukraine's tank crews, it is not just a victory, it is a statement. Western armor, paired with Ukrainian ingenuity and drone warfare, is not just matching Russia's best, it is erasing it. And for Russia, it is humiliation. The last tank battle they thought would prove their dominance instead proved their weakness. You're watching Navy Warfare. Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to see how technology and tactics are rewriting the rules of modern war. The battlefield shifts west, to the edges of a ruined settlement. Smoke still curls from shattered buildings. Ukrainian infantry have dug in among the rubble, but a new threat rumbles toward them. Russian T-90Ms, advancing cautiously but relentlessly, their turrets scanning for targets. These are not outdated relics like the T-72. These are Moscow's best, deployed to punch through defenses and prove that Russia still holds an edge in armored warfare. But waiting beyond the settlement's outskirts is something Russia has never truly faced before: an Abrams M1A1. 70 tons of American steel. A 1,500 horsepower turbine engine growls like a jet preparing for takeoff. The tank's long gun steadies. Inside the crew compartment, The gunner locks onto his target. Target, T-90M, range 1,200 meters. The commander gives the order. Boom. The Abrams 120mm smoothbore cannon unleashes a shell that crosses the distance in a heartbeat. It slams into the Russian flagship. The explosion echoes across the settlement. The T-90M shudders, smoke belching from its turret ring. The Russians scramble to respond. One T-90M angles its armor forward, trying to use its sloped glacis to deflect shots. Another swings its turret toward the Abrams. But they are already too late. The Abrams reloads in seconds. Second shot, another hit. Flames burst through a hatch. The Russian crew tries to retreat, but their machine is crippled. The duel is brutal, swift, and one-sided. This is the difference between propaganda and reality. Russia claims the T-90M can stand against NATO armor, but in practice, its weaknesses remain the same. Ammunition stored too close to the crew, reactive armor that crumbles under modern penetrators, electronics that fail under stress. Meanwhile, the Abrams was built for survivability. Its crew sits behind layers of composite armor, its ammunition sealed away in armored compartments with blow-off panels. When an Abrams is hit, the tank may burn, but the crew often survives. When a T-90M is hit, the crew rarely walks away. The Russians are desperate. They call in artillery to pound the settlement. Shells rain down, shaking the earth. But even as the bombardment falls, the Abrams maneuvers, using debris and ruined walls as cover. It emerges again, gun steady, hunting its next target. Then comes the sound every Russian tanker dreads. Buzz. From above, an FPV drone streaks low across the battlefield. Its operator, seated miles away, tilts his goggles, guiding it like a missile. The drone zeroes in on the second T-90M. The Russian tankers spot it too late. They fire their machine guns upward, tracers stitching the air. But the drone dives faster, slamming into the turret roof. Explosion. Fire shoots out of the hatches. Ammunition ignites. Within seconds, the turret lifts violently, blasting smoke and shrapnel skyward. The tank is finished. The Abrams holds its position, watching. Ukrainian infantry cheer from the rubble. One American-built tank paired with a $500 drone has just outmatched Moscow's finest armor. The psychology of the battle is devastating. For Russian crews, the knowledge spreads fast. Even their newest tank is prey. No matter how strong its armor, the Abrams will pierce it. No matter how careful their advance, drones will find the gaps. Every kilometer of ground is a gamble with death. For Ukraine, the clash proves something vital. With Western armor and indigenous drone warfare, they can not only defend, but dominate. Tanks and drones in synergy, heavy firepower from the Abrams, surgical strikes from the air. The result is overwhelming. By the time the dust settles, two T-90Ms lie smoking in the fields. Russian infantry abandon their positions, retreating under fire. The Abrams pulls back into cover, its engine still roaring, its crew alive and unshaken. The myth of the T-90M as invincible has once again collapsed, under the weight of Western steel and Ukrainian innovation. This is Navy warfare. If you believe these stories need to be told, subscribe to the channel, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think tanks still rule the battlefield, or has the drone age already taken over? The battlefield is littered with wrecks. Black smoke coils into the gray sky. The Russian advance has stalled, again. But for Ukraine, this is not the time to pause. It is the time to push. Infantry squads regroup in the rubble of a destroyed village. Their support is already rolling forward. Tracks grind over broken asphalt as Bradley fighting vehicles lead the way. Sleek, fast, bristling with firepower, the Bradleys aren't here to duel tanks. They are here to open the path. The first Bradley swings its turret. The 25mm Bushmaster cannon thunders, raking windows and trench lines. Russian machine gunners duck as tracers rip through their positions. At the same time, the Bradley launches Tau missiles, striking a camouflaged APC hiding behind a farmhouse. Flames roar skyward. Behind the Bradleys, heavier shadows emerge from the smoke. Leopard 2A6 tanks, Their 120mm cannons elevate, stabilizers locking onto distant silhouettes. One round, one impact, one more Russian tank destroyed. Each shot is deliberate, calm, and merciless. This is combined arms warfare in its purest form. Infantry shielded by Bradleys, Bradleys guided by infantry scouts, Leopards covering the advance with heavy firepower. No single piece dominates, but together they are unstoppable. The Russians scramble to respond. A BTR-82A roars down the main road, guns blazing. Its crew hopes to pin down the Ukrainian advance. The Bradley spots it first. Tracers streak across the street, hammering the Russian vehicle. Sparks shower from its armor. The BTR swerves, smoke trailing from its engine, then halts in flames. Another Russian tank tries to maneuver behind cover. Too slow. A Leopard fires from 1,400 meters. The round penetrates, and the Russian turret erupts in a geyser of fire. Survivors have no time to escape. Every Russian counter feels desperate, rushed. Every Ukrainian strike feels methodical, precise. And then, as the village center comes into view, the battlefield shifts again. The sound begins faintly, like bees in summer, but soldiers know it instantly. FPV drones. Operators sitting miles away lean into their goggles, joysticks tight in their hands. On their screens, Russian positions zoom into view. One drone dives into a trench where soldiers cower. Detonation. Another streaks toward a T-72 trying to reverse out of the kill zone. It slams into the rear deck. Explosion. The tank stops cold, smoke pouring out. The drones don't just strike, they guide. Through their live feeds, Ukrainian tankers see enemy movements. Bradleys shift their fire accordingly. Leopards adjust their aim. What once required minutes of coordination now happens in seconds. The battlefield becomes a chessboard, and Ukraine is playing 3 moves ahead. For Russian soldiers, the pressure is unbearable. From the front, Leopards hammer their armor. From the flanks, Bradleys shred their infantry. From above, drones swoop down with merciless precision. There is nowhere to hide. One Russian platoon tries to hold inside a fortified building. The Leopards respond with high explosive shells. The structure collapses. Survivors stagger out, only to be cut down by Bradley fire. Another group retreats across a field. Drones chase them, exploding among them. Panic spreads. Discipline breaks. By afternoon, the settlement is no longer contested. Ukrainian flags rise above the ruins. The Leopards rumble forward, Bradleys circling them, infantry following close behind. The road ahead is clear. What the world is seeing is not just another battle. It is a lesson in modern warfare. Tanks alone are vulnerable. Infantry alone are outgunned. But together, tanks, infantry, IFVs, and drones, they form a weapon greater than the sum of its parts. Russia's weakness is clear. It fights with fragments. Columns of tanks unsupported. Infantry abandoned by armor. Drones used clumsily. Ukraine's strength lies in integration. Western machines fused with Ukrainian tactics, and drones multiplying their impact tenfold. This is why, time and again, Russia's armored assaults end in burning wreckage, and why, time and again, Ukraine advances. You're watching Navy Warfare. If you believe these stories must be heard, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. The drone age is rewriting the battlefield, and we are showing you how. The battlefield is quiet for only a moment. Blackened hulls smolder in the fields. Leopards and Bradleys roll forward, their crews scanning for survivors. Ukrainian infantry advances cautiously, rifles raised. It feels like victory, but it isn't finished yet. Then the sound begins. A faint bzzz rising from the tree line. Dozens of small shapes dart into the sky, sunlight glinting off spinning rotors. The swarm is here. FPV drones. Cheap, fast, unstoppable. Operators far from the front guide them with joysticks and goggles, each drone a guided missile in miniature. What began as improvisation is now strategy. And on this day, the swarm will end Russia's hopes of reclaiming the field. The first target is a damaged T-90M limping across the open plain. Its turret spins desperately, trying to find threats, but it cannot see the sky. A drone dives, slamming into the engine deck. Explosion. The tank halts, smoke belching black. Seconds later, a second drone hits the turret seam. The result is catastrophic. Ammunition cooks off, flames bursting through the hatches. The invincible tank is finished. Another drone buzzes past infantry fleeing on foot. The operator tilts, angles, and dives. The explosion scatters soldiers across the field. Survivors break and run. There is no cover from the sky. A column of Russian APCs attempts retreat down the main road. They drive fast, swerving, desperate. But the drones are faster. One slams into the lead vehicle, blocking the road. Another drops onto the rear, trapping them. Bradleys and Leopards open fire from the flanks. It is annihilation. The power of the swarm isn't just destruction, it's psychology. For Russian crews, every sound becomes terror. The low hum of a quadcopter in the distance could be harmless, or it could be the last thing they hear before fire engulfs them. Soldiers glance upward constantly, rifles twitching, nerves frayed. Some abandon vehicles at the first sight of drones, preferring to run rather than burn alive inside steel coffins. For Ukrainian troops, the swarm is liberation. Every drone is another set of eyes, another weapon, another ally. Infantry can move with confidence, knowing drones patrol the skies. Tank crews fight smarter, guided by live feeds that reveal hidden enemies. The battlefield becomes transparent. The economics are merciless. A T-90M costs $3.5 million. A single FPV drone costs $500. 3 drones, less than $2,000, can erase a tank worth millions. No defense budget can survive that equation. No army can sustain those losses indefinitely. This is why Russia welds cages on turrets, drapes chains over hatches, paints symbols on armor. Desperation disguised as protection. But the drones adapt. Pilots find the gaps, the seams, the vulnerabilities. No matter how many cages are added, no matter how many prayers are painted on steel, the swarm always finds a way in. By dusk, the field is transformed. What entered as a Russian armored assault is now a graveyard of wreckage. T-90Ms, T-72s, BTRs, all blackened, twisted, silent. Smoke drifts across the horizon. The smell of burning fuel hangs heavy in the air. And standing unbroken at the center are the Leopards and Abrams, engines still rumbling, barrels still hot. Around them, Bradleys idle, infantry regroup, drones buzz overhead like watchful sentinels. The message is unmistakable. Ukraine owns this battlefield. This was not just another clash of tanks. It was the last tank battle Russia thought it could win. And it ended the same way as so many before, with fire, with wreckage, with the myth of Russian power lying in ruins. Because this is no longer the age of steel giants alone. This is the drone age, where innovation beats numbers, where agility beats mass, where a $500 machine can bring down a $3 million flagship. The T-90M was meant to be unstoppable. Instead, it is now a symbol of defeat. This is Navy warfare. If you believe the world needs to see how modern war is truly fought, hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories from the front lines.